gentlemen, to another episode of Podulution, where we celebrate mentors, leaders, and heroes. My name is Timothy Stone Dancer Coleman, and this is
Benaiah War.
What's up, Benaiah?
What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
Oh, everything is good. Listen, the world is moving fast, and for those of us who walk at a steady pace, you got to be on the right side of the street.
I'm telling you.
There's people, what is that? The escalator, right? When you go up the escalator, I'm a person that stands on the right. I don't be walking on the left anymore. When I was younger, I was walking and skipping steps and trying to
get to where you got to go, but you like...
Right now, I'm letting the machine do the work.
Right. What you always say, take it day by day.
That's right. You got to take it day by day because you ain't going to get there no faster.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So what's been happening for you, brother?
Man, I'm learning how to take steps in the right direction. I'm learning to just listen and be slow to, take, drastic moves, but also at the same time, just trying to build myself to get to the areas that I need to go to grow. This is the lovely part about this podcast too, is that we get a chance to talk about things and share wisdom. And that's kind of going to be along the lines of this wonderful Podgolution. So if you can take us away with the title of the...
Yeah, definitely. That's dope, man. That's dope. So listen, today's topic is navigating challenges in mentorship, lessons learned, and shared wisdom. So, the big challenge, and we've talked about this before, so I won't dwell on it, is that, when it comes to the word mentor and the word mentorship, I don't think there are a lot of people who are naturally drawn to those words because it's like, mentor, I don't need a mentor. I'm in control of my own life. I don't need nobody to be sitting around telling me what to do. There's a lot that goes into mentorship sessions, that needs to be learned both for the mentor and the mentee.
Yeah.
Right? And so when I think about navigating challenges in mentorship, I would say the initial set of challenges are probably not the same as what you might experience a year or two into the process. The initial challenges are from a mentor position, meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
Which is something you and I have spoken about. I think you do this really, really well, is meeting people where they are without judging them, without condemning them, without casting any sort of a definitive description of who they are as a human being, but knowing that you've got something to offer and finding the right moments to sprinkle that into someone else's life.
Wow.
Right? And so I think that initial challenge on the mentorship side is not moving too fast, being open and accessible for questions and feedback. And then I think it's knowing that what you're doing for someone else still has to happen in their pace and not yours. That's where I would start.
And I love how you mentioned that, and I think pace is a key component to that, because you can be in a certain space in your life, and because you know what it takes to get there, the necessary hurdles that you went through, the trials and the error, the person who's mentoring, the mentee, you're trying to prohibit them from making those same type of either mistakes. What lies ahead if you make this decision or that decision. And it's like you want it so bad. But I think a necessary part of mentorship, not just for the mentee, but for the mentor, is patience.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like you're learning through the mentee, you're learning something about you.
Yes.
And then for the mentee, they're learning also how to, apply the wisdom, right? Because the wisdom might not look the same in a sense of how to apply it in one area, right? Like the mentor is trying to share the wisdom, but the mentee has to apply it. But the situation might be drastically different from what the mentor has gone through.
Yes, 100%.
Yep, and it might not look exactly the same, but it's like waiting for that mentee to get it. Like, and when they got it, it's like, oh my gosh, like
They take it and run.
they take it and run.
Take it and run. And I think, you know, I learned a really invaluable lesson through the years, is that you don't know when a seed you plant in someone else is going to actually take root.
Wow.
Sometimes we're having regular conversations and, you know, someone will say something to me and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to store that, you know, for when I need it. And it might be a few years later. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is that moment. This is what they were talking about. You are not in control of when your words actually become applicable in someone else's life. You just have to keep moving forward, knowing that your intentions are positive.
You took the words right out of my mouth because I was gonna say something along those lines too. Like I remember a long time ago, some principles that I was given was that think of like mentorship or think about the people in your life as different components of a car, right? Like think about like when you're driving, you don't always use the blinker, you don't always use the horn, right? Like there's a time where you use the gas, there's a time where you use the brake. There's a time when you got to turn the wheel all the way to the left or way. So it's like all these things are useful. You have to use them, but there is a specific time and there's a specific period for you using those things and using it to the best of your abilities. And it's just like driving a car. So maybe we could talk a little bit more about that after the break. Like, when was a time where someone gave you wisdom and when you had to use it, you know, later on, or when you
Yeah,
what at a certain moment you had to use it for greater progress and to get to a place that you wanted to go to in your life.
definitely.
So we'll be right back after this. We have more mentors, leaders, and heroes coming up after this. Welcome to Podulution, a show that celebrates mentors, leaders, and heroes.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podgolution, where we celebrate mentors, leaders, and heroes. It's Timothy and Benaiah having a great conversation about navigating challenges in mentorship and the lessons learned through shared wisdom. So, before the break, we were talking a little bit, Benaiah, about you know, the seeds that we plant, the words that we share, the intentions that we have towards other people. So, I want to ask you, when was the time that you received wisdom, even if you might not have actually labeled it as wisdom, right? Maybe it was advice, maybe it was just um, help, right? Like however someone might label it. When is the time when you received wisdom that you then applied in a whole different time frame of your life?
Wow, that is a great question. You know, out of the many, one in particular is with one of my cousins, right? He is, a businessman, and he, owns a couple businesses, and also, is like a epidemiologist, has a lot of things going for him. He's one of my mentors. And I remember when I forgot what age I was, but I had to be still in high school. I was a teenager, and we took a trip up to down to his house, and it was me and some of my other cousins, and we got a chance to just learn a lot of things. He took us on a trip to like explore some colleges, to learn a lot about history, to figure out some things that we might be interested in, and think aspirations that we might have to like study it and to go for it.
Mm.
And it was just an opportunity for to share a well of wisdom. And I remember he took all of us individually in his office to like have a meeting with us, like individually, about like little things that he sees in us and what we can do better in and how we can grow. And I remember he said to me, he said, "I notice you have a lot of leadership traits." And he said, "I notice you have a lot of, you know, uh, a lot of things going, and knowing how and whatever. But," he said, "the one thing about you is that, a lot of the times you can use that as a way to get people to try to do something for you rather
Mm.
than going to do it yourself." And so what he meant by that is that little things like, instead of me like, searching something, I'll tell my cousin to search it. Or I'll kind of like boss him around a little bit. Like, and at that time it was just misplaced leadership,
Mm.
and a misused of it, not, it wasn't matured yet. And so it's like you kind of like tell people to do this or tell people to do that without first being the first partaker. And
Right.
so I always remember that. And as I got older and as I learned the heart of leadership and mentorship, I grew in learning how to be a leader first, like learning how to lead myself first,
Yes.
learning how to do it first, or to search it first, or to
That's right.
like
To make choices
yeah,
that are uh, that are wise, that
yeah,
are smart, that are intelligent, that have intention.
yeah,
You have to be doing that with yourself first before you can tell somebody else
right,
to do that.
right, yes. And it doesn't mean that I have to do that all the time. It's just, have you even tried first before you go and tell somebody else to do this, or to do
Yeah.
that? So
If your life is a mess,
you
right, and you're going through 30 relationships in 2 months, how are you going to be a marriage
got to
counselor?
be a relationship guru.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't add up, right? Like
Right.
if you are caught on camera drinking
Mhm.
soda or drinking alcohol, right? Like how are you going to lead an AA meeting?
Wow. And can we admit, Tim, that's the challenge of leadership,
Yeah,
being first,
yeah.
right? Like the leadership, being a leader, you
It's
sometimes
lonely.
it's lonely. Sometimes you get the brunt of the load that of criticism, right? You get the brunt of, you're exposed, you're out there first. People talk about you,
That's
people, laugh at your ideas, like being that's the hardship of mentorship. Is like
that's
you have to first take the lead before you can lead. And it could be challenging because leading ourselves, we have flaws, we have things about us that may not always, we may not always feel up to it. But that's where feelings have to not be involved when you are taking an act of leadership.
that's 100% true,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I mean, even in the show that I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
right? The time for me to step up is when it's my character's turn.
Wow.
And then I gotta fall back when it's someone else's turn.
Yeah.
That's active leadership. That's active listening. That's active participation.
Yeah.
You have a time when you are going to be called on for the things that are your gift of greatness,
Mm.
right? And then you have other times where you're supposed to sit back and watch and learn and listen.
Wow.
And being a leader in that lonely road of that, you're exactly right. It does mean that many times you're putting yourself out, or you're like there have been times when I've tried to be quiet and hold on, but it's impossible because the situation is like it's just screaming out of me. And it's like, no, I know I need to say something in this moment.
Mm,
And so I think through wisdom, through trial and error, through time, we learn when those times are.
yeah, yeah, and it's like a push and pull, and also like finding where you fit in, right? But the beautiful part about the challenge is that the challenges calls you up. It calls
Yeah,
you up to who you're supposed to be. If it wasn't for the challenges, maybe there wouldn't be a level of maturity. You know, there wouldn't be a level of um, wisdom. There wouldn't be a level of understanding for others and understanding, because guess what? There has to be a level of process for a mentor to understand where the mentee is.
that's right. That's right.
And that's how we share the ability to help one another, right?
Yeah, yes,
By being infused through our sufferings, through the challenges, through the
that's right.
journey. And so, you know, when we come back from break, we can talk a little bit about the journey and the process of becoming a mentor, and how that shapes you into growing into even a better leader.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back after this. We have more mentors, leaders, and heroes coming up after this. Welcome to Podulution, a show that celebrates mentors, leaders, and heroes. Welcome back to Podgolution, everybody. I'm here with our wonderful host, Timothy Stone, Dancer Coleman. And this is a show that celebrates mentors, leaders, and heroes. And we're just having a great conversation about navigating the challenges of mentorship and shared wisdom along the way. And all of us have a journey that we go on, all of us have a process that we go on to understand how to properly lead, how to properly mentor.
Mhm.
And so, Tim, you know, if you can just share a little bit of jewels and nuggets from your journey, what is maybe the greatest lesson or greatest wisdom that was shared along the way as you journey through your process to becoming a better mentor, a better leader? And, you know, how are you using it now?
So that's such a great question, right? And I think part of how I've learned to mentor others is recognizing the times when I was being mentored
Mm,
and watching the behaviors and the flow of conversation of people as they have, breathed life into me in any different circumstance. And then I think as we begin to understand ourselves better, there are always going to be, with billions and billions of people on the planet, you're always going to run into somebody who might be going through something you've already been through. Right. And I think, it isn't as intentional in that mentorship space, but you share what you know. That's that very village mentality of each one teach one,
yeah.
right? And so I've read a lot of books about mentorship. I've read a lot of books about being mentored and how to be mentored, because you also don't want to just accept everything that's being said to you,
Yeah.
right? You've got to balance that against your belief system and balance that against your core beliefs. Like, what are the top four things that at the end of the day, these are the things that are the most important to you?
Right.
Honesty,
Yeah.
trust, whatever the things are for different people. um, you know, we have to balance the information we receive based on those values.
Right. Right.
And so if you, it's funny because this statement comes back to me every now and again that my father used to say all the time. And he started saying it when I was in high school. And I totally didn't understand it when he first, or maybe middle school. And I didn't understand it when he first started saying it. But um, a man with no focus is confused,
Mm,
but a man with no vision is lost.
wow.
Right? And so if you have no focus, if you're not pushing towards something, if you don't know what it is that you want to do, you have to first start with practicing the practicing purpose. You could volunteer at nonprofit organizations. You could go to a soup kitchen. You could volunteer to be a coach or assistant on different
Just to
things.
let y'all know, people, Tim is masterful with this because this is something that he says all the time. So if you know Tim, this is what he preaches. This is who he is. And I'm just putting this as a side note. Like, this is what he does. Like,
This is it. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is how I was raised. This is how it goes down. Like I mean, and I appreciate that because it isn't something I'm just putting on for the show.
mhm.
Like this is who I am.
Yeah.
And so, there are different ways for you to get into the process of finding your purpose. But once you have that purpose, now it's time to develop it within yourself. Now it's time to say, okay, well, I didn't just realize today that I want to be a singer. Now I got to go give voice lessons. Now I got to warm up my voice. Now I got to stop drinking. Now I've got to look at what do I
Yeah.
need to do in order to maintain my gift,
Sacrifice.
the sacrifice,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever it is that you're doing that is your purpose. If you want to be a scientist, you're gonna have to sacrifice, running around with your friends and get your heads in some books and start reading about other people's experiences,
Right.
like whatever the thing is, right? So when it comes to mentorship, I think that there are so many different ways that it can happen. But in the end, no matter what it is somebody tells you, what it is somebody tries to guide you in, or whatever, you challenge that against your own beliefs. And there are times when it's uncomfortable to change what you believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's necessary in order for you to grow.
Wow. Oh man. I think that one just left me with something right there. That's what's necessary to grow. You have to change your belief, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the times we feel like we can keep keep getting doing the same thing and get a different result. Sometimes we feel like we can stay in the same behaviors, same, mindsets that are toxic, that are not good. At some point in your life, there's going to have to be a change in belief. That doesn't mean a change in your morality, your morals, and
Right,
what
right, right.
what what makes you a human being in the sense of the essence of who you are. But there has to be a shift so you can be able to grow properly, right? Any branch, right, sheds, right? The leaves fall, right? The branches are pruned so that they can bear more fruit.
That's
So
right.
it's like there's gonna have to be a level in your life, that an area of your life that dies, that shifts,
Yes.
that
Yes.
has to be abandoned, so that proper newness can come forth. And I think that's what mentorship is about. Like, this is why I have you as one of my mentors. Like you help sharpen an area of me that has to change, mindsets that have to change, or areas that I'm not either believing in myself or believing in what I do, or even if it's not in that area, whether it's just how I approach something, right? It's approaching your mentality towards things. You need people in your life to sharpen you. You need people in your life to bring an aspect of you that's not you yet, but will become you because you're exposed to you in the future, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know what I said,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's
but
stuck.
listen, oddly enough, it totally makes sense. It totally makes
you
sense.
know so it's almost like you getting exposed to different natures of, like, one thing I noticed what God places in my life is people with different aspects, different strengths, and different qualities of the man that I'm going to become or walk in. Whether it's whether it's mentors who are women or mentors who are men, they are placed in my life. There is something that I have to learn that's in me that is going to be pulled and that's going to be nurtured so I can be able to grow into the person I'm supposed to be and impact the people who I'm supposed to impact. Because guess what? I'm going to be a mentor.
That's
I
right.
am a mentor,
Yes.
helping to mentor others, but I can't be a mentor if I'm not being mentored. And so that's what mentorship is about. You have to have somebody who's mentoring you, and you
Yes.
have to have people you are mentoring to show the fruit of that growth. And so it's from fruit to fruit to fruit.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. You have to be in a constant state of learning and a willingness to learn and
Mhm.
continue to grow at every single age and phase of your life
Yeah,
in order to have your words have value to someone else.
mhm. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's the ripple effect.
that's
It's
right.
like a chain reaction. And so, man, this was awesome. This
Yeah,
was great.
that's a good conversation, man.
Always excellent talking to you, Tim.
I mean,
And also while we're talking, other people are hearing and listening, and it's like you could join into the conversation too. You can pause this and you can talk about it with somebody yourself.
that's
You can
exactly
start
right.
writing, start jotting down stuff right now. You can start thinking about that vision. Let something inspire you today. Let something give you a zeal to want to just be different, right? You can be different and you can be impactful in the area that you're in. It doesn't matter where you're from, who
That's
you
right.
are, where you live at. You can decide to be a difference maker. Listen, me and Tim, we're ordinary people, and
Every single day.
we do extraordinary things to with ordinary vessels. And so
That's right.
anybody can do this. Anybody can just make a difference wherever they are.
Amen. Agreed.
Yes, sir.
Period.
So thank you for joining us for another episode of Podgolution. We'll see you soon. God bless.
God bless everybody. Peace.